mumbling like a genie in a bottle, mumbo jumbo, hallucinating, breath escaping, bitten for I didn't know I was in the jungle, where the air we breathe preys on you. So I soothe its radicals, tyrannical particles, while I passage through the lungs, I welcome thee with caution. For there is much to learn from the culture that you came from. Internalized and bare, I was smitten by the nightmare of the time I lived my life, yet not even once were you there. Hello everyone, welcome back to Culture Journal Podcast. I am your host, Alex Murder. Hope everyone's doing well. As you know, preparing for winter, so it is pretty cold, and it's a cold and cruel world right now. If you look outside, I'll tell you that much. But it's neither here nor there. I digress. What you heard there was the part of the quote I want to depict today and just speak on. So let me just go back into it and let you hear the whole piece that I wanted to. Hopefully this resonates with you. Here we go. Mumbling like a genie in a bottle, mumbo jumbo, hallucinating, breath escaping, bitten for I didn't know I was in the jungle, where the air we breathe preys on you. So I soothe its radicals, tyrannical particles, while they passage through the lungs. I welcome thee with caution, for there is much to learn from the culture that you came from. Internalized and bare, I was smitten by the nightmare of the time I lived my life, yet not even once were you there. Our cries defined by emotions or a tear, capitulating to my existence, hoping one day at the end you could meet me there. Stuck in a trance, it grows like memories of the most monumental romance. The lessons tend to my complexes, for otherwise they would lay bare in the sand. No time for why, just in case we make the lies cry. The cruel times may take over, but I don't mind. One with self, therefore I know I'll be fine. What you have there is the full piece, full quote I want to speak on today. But of course, let me ask some questions. Let me throw some spanners in the works before I give my express my thoughts in layman terms, in a sense. I would start like this. Who do you trust to be themselves around you? Who do you trust to be yourself around them? You know, there's an interrelation with that situation there, and something to think about. I think from what I gather with the words that I'm speaking about, these two questions they just stood out to me, and so I wanted to kind of get people's, like I said, throw a spanner in the work, get the ball rolling with these thoughts. Okay, let's move on. Does duty trumps love? Think of it like this. In the end, if you don't have love, what else is there? I would argue that duty is synonymous with terms depicting unconditional, meaning when all fails, duty remains. When all fails, duty is. It remains. Of course, nobody owes anyone anything. However, the ideals, the idea, or the ideals are that what relate to duty is that one could argue is a currency in itself. Have you ever been in a trance? Actually, wait, let me speak some more about this duty that I'm asking about. I think where I'm coming from with this is at the end of the day, like for example, let's use a situation with like a relationship, you know, somebody that's been married like say 50 years, and you know that's rare these days, but it is it's very old school to hear certain situations like that these days, but yeah, it did happen and it is possible, and there are people still in this world that believe in, you know, marriage to the extent where, or staying with somebody for such a long period, you know, those are like what we should know as traditional marriage, old school marriage that does. They do tend to last these lengths of time periods. And from what I understand of certain situations like these, it's almost like it comes a time where love is, you know, there's love pretty much is seasonal in a sense. It comes and goes. It's not so much consistent. However, the one thing that doesn't falter is duty. Yeah, you might feel a certain way about your spouse, in the sense of like, oh man, she just won't shut up, or you know, just petty things like that, or like, you know, we argue about the littlest, most trivial things. But at the end of the day, it's almost like when it comes to the duty that you have to your spouse, your partner, that trumps everything. That trumps all the little situations that you would bicker about. And so I guess I'm asking the question, is kind of like, if you had a situations like, if you had, knowing what the potential for each side could be, like, of course we all want love, but I guess what I'm saying is, if you had to choose between the two, would you choose duty or would you choose love? Just want to throw that out there. And so, but back to what back to what I was saying with the piece. Have you ever been in a trance watching episodes of your life before your eyes? Life trials are like a test that cannot be replicated, one could argue. We learn so much from our circumstances and situations. It's like a whisper. If you listen carefully, you will hear all it has to offer. Its teachings and demands. And I'm speaking about life trials. The other questions I have to ask is, does the truth matter anymore? I think the importance of such has been watered down. In many facets, one could argue, classed as a what's the word I'm looking for? A selective misnomer. It has appeared, it appears to me that we've grown into a culture that discards the truth if it doesn't fit our narrative. It's an interesting thing. Usually you only see certain things like these in societies where it's just rampant with dictators, or like, literally everybody where it's run by a dictator. And so it's almost like a situation where now we live in a predominantly, obviously not selectively, what we're speaking about is places that are supposed to be democratic societies where freedom of speech is held at the pinnacle of society, right? But in this day and age, right now, right here, can we really say that's the case? And so it's an interesting thing. Something so important can be put on the back seat. Speaking about truth, when it should be the driving force, leading, hands holding the wheel, so to speak. Because at the end of the day, when this disappears, if it was to disappear, potentially speaking, where there's a flip of the coin, and I'm sure you've heard the saying where it's almost like if Thanos was to click his finger, and truth was supposed to be occupy the ideals of, say, lies. So with that being said, what else? What else do we have as a people if that's the situation? A bag of lies and cries that comes out when the truth, a sign that intends to speak. So when the truth gives a sign that it intends to speak, And so that's why I find it's almost selective, where people, you know, almost don't want to hear the truth, or they do their best to kind of scrutinize and paint it in a negative light, to almost demean or I can't basically just put it in a negative light, and in a space where it's almost belittled, watered down, you know, that type of situation. But is there a culture? Moving on right now. Here's another question. Is there a culture for the weak? Meaning, is victimhood being given a platform to grow and metastasize? And what I'm trying to say is, of course, we have people that are victims, and should be, their situation should be respected. But it seems to me, stands to reason, is that it's almost like, it's not the fact that it's the fact that they're victims, but it's almost like they're not even being, it's kind of like this. So you have a situation where you know, you're going through something, and like, say, for example, let's be simple about it. You went through trauma. You're a soldier, you went through trauma, PTSD, and you don't get any help. In that situation, what you should have is, you know, therapy, whatever, to make sure that you get your rehab. And when I say rehab, I mean your mind, to unpack your mind, get your situation right. But it's but instead, what we have are hurt people being pushed to the forefront to kind of almost be uplifted, and you know, it's almost like a reward system, in a sense, for being hurt. And so you have hurt people hurting other people, and you know, it's almost like it's becoming a culture in itself. So it goes back to the question, is there a culture for the weak? Is victimhood being given a platform to grow and metastasize? Are we all prone to be product of society's wants and needs? What they want us to be, what they need us to be. And if we were to refuse, are we at liberty to express our feelings and thoughts without risk of ridicule and scorn, or even being scrutinized? We see it time and time again, where people in society are being criticized for speaking their mind in the culture. And when I say, you know, being criticized, I'm not saying whether that person is wrong or right. I'm just saying, I'm just speaking on just the mere expression of opinion. And so I think it's not far-fetched to say that sometimes when people express themselves, it's almost like we're being put in a situation where, like, literally it's almost like you could go to prison for expressing a fact or making a mistake by expressing something wrong, etc., etc. Now, I'm not saying, you know what, there shouldn't be repercussion for somebody saying something wrong, but to express an opinion and go to prison for it, like, surely that's a bit extreme. And so, those are the thoughts. But I must reiterate also, if you're wrong, I don't believe anyone is beyond reproach or being called out for their words. However, if sharing an opinion now become a crime in society, as we know it, should these form of events continue in a specific sequence of opinions, eventually, like this being an evolution where opinions are now suppressed, is anyone in the world safe? Are we all prone to be in grasp of the same opinions because of such a situation? When it's all said and done, I'll repeat that last one because this is very important. Are we all prone to be in grasp of the same opinion because of what the world may potentially be turning into when it's all said and done? Meaning, are we all being forced into a sheepish mentality to look the same, think the same, be the same, because society says that's what we should be? Just questions. I'll let you be the judge of things. Just wanted to throw some spanners in the works for this week. But I appreciate everyone for tuning in and hearing what I have to say. Of course, you should know where to find me, but if you don't and you're new to the platform, anytime, Instagram, WordPress. Everybody should be able to find me on WordPress. That's dreamimagine.express, and Poetry Journal, Instagram at Poetry Journal. That's PO3TRYJOURNAL, Poetry Journal. And be sure to reach out, have a question. Always willing to speak and discuss anything. So also, Amazon, my work is out right now. Poetry Journal, Growing Pains, Poetry Journal, Dream, Imagine, Express. Short stories, Into the Abyss, and working on a few things. But of course, I appreciate everyone for tuning in and listening to what I have to say. So until next time, take care.